Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Altcoin Mentors YouTube channel. My name is Peter, and today I'm going to be talking about a update on 5 coins that I tweeted about earlier in the day, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, about possible candidates for a short-term long position. So if you don't follow us on Twitter, our handle is altcoin_mentors. Also, we're on Telegram. I'll post the links a little bit later. So let's talk about the 5 coins that I recommended, or not recommended, but I said these are possible candidates for a short-term long position. So we went 4 for 5 out of the positions that we went into, and I'll start off with the loser. So today, I saw that Zcash was bouncing off of support. It crossed the 50 EMA. I took a long position at 387.60. I put a trailing stop at 610 below, which is this orange line here, because that's the hourly ATR. My target range was over here. This is my profit zone. You'll see this on most of my smaller term charts. It went higher, 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 hit along the short-term resistance at 392.18. Came very close to it. I trailed it kind of tight. See, this orange line is my trailer. I trailed it. We had color change right here. I put my stop loss down below at 386. I took a small little loss on this trade. So because this is, I tried to keep it close to the 1 hour ATR as close as possible as it was going higher and higher and higher. Unfortunately, it came really close to 392 and it came back. I say that unfortunately before because when I was thinking about writing this video and I was putting up all the charts, I was like, oh man, maybe I got stopped out a little bit early. But now I'm looking at this chart live. It's going lower and lower and lower. Now it's at 383. So that's the thing about short-term positions, right? Sometimes, you go through a lot of emotions, like where should I put my stop loss? Where should I do this? But what happens is that if you keep things consistent, if you make it a habit, right, over the long run, over the years and over the decades, I've been trading for over 2 decades. If you keep on doing the same thing, right, over all that time, you'll actually end up making better decisions because you're not going to be right all the time. But by doing the same things over and over and over and making it repeatable, it'll save you because you can't just remember the few good trades that could have happened because it didn't, because you had your stop loss a little bit too tight. So it's better just to keep your stop loss a little bit too tight, especially in days like this when the ranges are so tight. So there is our first loser. So I'll go to our next one that I recommended on Twitter. First one was Zcash. Next one is Dash. So let's look at Dash. So on Dash, same kind of position. It was bouncing off of a little support area here at 594. I was waiting for it to close above the 50 or get near it. It came a little bit down. It got close to it here. We had a color change. And then I waited for confirmation up to the top over here. Got filled at 602.32. I put my stop loss down below here, which is the 1 hour ATR. It went a little bit higher, trailed it, lowered it, waited for the dip, put my stop loss here, put a trailer, moved my trailer as it kept on going a little bit higher. Once it broke out over here and it came across this zone, I put my trailer into a small little profit, about 50 cents profit. Then I trailed it. But once again, same thing that happened here. As it came close to this short-term resistance area, as you can see now live, it's starting to change color. So what I'm going to do is, as it's changing color, I have to think about where am I going to put my stop loss. So if I put this here, the top is at 615. So if I do it at the 1 hour ATR, that would put me at about 607, which would be this candle here. But that doesn't give me enough profit because for I've been in this trade for about 5 hours now, so I want to at least make the 1 hour ATR at a minimum. So it's at 602.32. I want to make about 886. Right now it's at a 611, so that's really tight here. So I'll probably put it at 610. Actually, I'm going to do it right now. Excuse me. 610. Okay, so I put my stop loss here at 610. So actually, I'll put that right in here. 610. So you can all see it. Put the trailing stop here, 610. So this way I am locked into what is usually for me my minimum requirement for profit to make me a little bit comfortable in my trade, which is usually about the 1 hour ATR. So I'm working off of a 15-minute chart. So I want to make at least 4 times the range. So that would be 1 hour, and that would be 860. So here at 860, unfortunately for me right now, if I did it, I'd have to just like get out right now. So I want to give this a little bit of chance to go a little bit higher. So I'm going to keep it at 610. So let's look at the next one. It's Ripple. So Ripple, I just got stopped out at. It was a trailing stop. I had put it in before I started making this video. So same thing here. It was bouncing off of medium support here, the green line, at 88623. It went a little bit higher, closed above. I saw a failed downward candle over here above the 50 signal. Waited for it to confirm. It took about 40 minutes for it to confirm. It did at about 90 cents, 90426. I kept it at the 1 hour ATR, which is 0.0136, which is this orange line here. Once it created a new high, it went up to there. I moved my stop loss up to the bottom over here. And then once it got into this close range over here, once again, this little short-term resistance came into play. Then I started trailing it a little bit tighter. It never changed color until recently, which was at the bottom of this line, of this bar here, which is about 15 minutes ago. I put a trailing stop on there, and then I got kicked out. So unfortunately for me here, I never made my 1 hour ATR, but I don't want to end up with a smaller profit or a loser, just like the other trades. So I'm happy to take this small little winner, especially in times of these like shrinking and shrinking ATRs for most of the coins. So let's look at Neo. So Neo, same thing, bounced off of support line at 122.77. I saw a failed color here, so let me tell you why it's considered a fail. The reason why it's considered a fail is that it changes color, but the bottom is here. It never confirms to the downside. So basically this is an inside bar. I've talked to you about that before. It goes a little bit higher. I see it close above the 50. It confirms. It goes lower. Fortunately for me, I got a little bit lucky on this one because the ATR on this one is 270. So at 24, the ATR, my first ATR brought me all the way down here. Once it went a little bit higher and closed, I put my stop loss, moved it up to 122. As it went higher and higher, I started trailing it a little bit, and then I turned it into a profit trailer. Once it got into a 2.7 range, which was up around here, small little profit. But once again, same sneaky little short-term resistance. This little yellow line comes into play, change color. I put my stop loss right below it at 126.30, which actually gives me, pretty close to my, 1 hour ATR. Not like super close, but pretty close. But what will probably happen is that after I make this video, if this goes a little bit higher, because right now it's at 127, if it goes a little bit higher, then I'll probably trail it under this small little bar here, and then try to make my 1 hour ATR. Because in these trades, I'm not trying to make a lot of money. These are very short-term positions, so I want to be able to go in and out of them within what I call the life cycle for the charts that I'm looking at. So if I'm looking at a 15-minute chart, the life cycle is usually 20 bars. So we'll do the math again. I've showed this video before where I went over it. So talk about 15 minutes times 20 cycles. It's about 300 minutes. So divided by 60. So we're talking about 5 hours. So I've been in this trade since 5:45. It's almost 10:30. So it's getting close to that time. So the life cycle of a trade like this is usually between 5 hours, so 20. Because you look at the 20 EMAs, that's what a lot of people do. So it's the multiple of 20 to the multiple of 50. So a minimum, not a minimum, but generally around 5 hours to somewhere around 10 and a half to 12 hours. That would be the cycle. So let's look at the last one, recommended. This is one of the ones that I've been tracking very, very well. If you remember my videos from a couple weeks ago, I talked about the Litecoin breakout to the upside when it was in the 150s. It went up to the ranges. I've been charting this very, very well. So I see this. This is one of the coins that I know super well. I really believe in the idea of being a specialist, not a generalist. So when I tweeted out before, and even on YouTube, I mentioned that I started charting a lot of different coins. One of the things I said is that it's going to take me some time to not just chart it and just to keep an eye on it, but to be able to trade it, because I have to put in a lot of support and resistance lines. I have to know the ranges, know the spreads. I want to know a lot of things in detail so that I know what the action is like while I'm making this trade. So Litecoin is one of the things I know pretty well. I got in at 207.75. I put my first stop below the 1 hour ATR. And this one I got very lucky because it just shot up right away. This little green zone was my profit zone, right? And in this zone, I would be very happy to take profits, especially when it's coming off of once again, this short-term resistance line. So same thing here. I moved up my stop just like I did with everything else, right below this color change bar. But fortunately for me, it shot right back up. So now, actually, I'll tell you where my stop is, because my stop, okay, is actually right at this number, right there. So that's at 215. 215 and a quarter. So 215 and a quarter. I think it's at 215. It's at 215 even at the top of the bar, at the bottom of the bar. Oh no, 215 and a quarter. Yeah, 215 and a quarter. So that's where my position is now. So this way I'll make a decent amount of money on this one. I'm gonna definitely make over my 4 hour ATR. But if this is what my target, was going to be in the future. It might not happen now, but I might be there somewhere in the future. And if it comes in, that would be my next eventual target. It has to close above this range over here first, because that was the range over here before a couple of days ago. So I'm expecting it to kind of taper off a little bit here, maybe go a little bit sideways, test this line again, maybe test this line here, and then go up into the 229 range, which is our next target. So that's it for me today. I'll put it in all my trailers, and then I'm going to, just try to relax a little bit, take a breath, meditate, and then go to sleep. Thank you, and have a good night.